you guys thought it wasn't going to happen, but EPA adopts California rules. I mean, basically, your new Gavin Newsom, he was looking at this and he's like, oh, we want the sale of electric vehicles by 2027 to be a quarter of what they are, all electric. And guess what? The EPA is looking to propose a similar rule to that. EPA proposed emission standard for heavy trucks would require a quarter of new heavy trucks sold in the U.S. to be all electric by 2032.
Improve air quality for communities all across the country. Light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles are some of the biggest contributors to greenhouse gas pollution.
So that's letting you know that the route that they're projecting is they want to go zero emissions and they want to go electric. The biggest thing about this is if you're going to have a day cab, they say the difference in this is only going to be, $582. But if you get a long haul sleeper cab tractor, it's going to cost you $14,712 difference. And that right there, folks, is a lot of money for a lot of truck drivers out there.
The first set of proposed standards focus on light and medium duty vehicles. It builds on EPA's existing standards for passenger cars and light trucks for model years 2023 through 2026. EPA estimates that this proposal would reduce our cumulative CO2 emissions by 7.3 billion metric tons from the years 2027 through 2055. That's equivalent to eliminating all greenhouse gas emissions from the entire current United States transportation sector for 4 years. Overall, projected benefits could reach $1.6 trillion. The second set of proposed standards would apply to heavy-duty vocational vehicles, such as delivery trucks, dump trucks, public utility trucks, transit, school buses, and more. The proposed standards are the final pieces of EPA's Clean Trucks Plan and will complement the heavy-duty nitrogen oxide standards we established last December. Like the light and medium-duty proposal, the heavy-duty proposal uses performance-based technology standards that enable manufacturers to achieve compliance efficiently based on the composition of their fleets. EPA estimates that this second proposal would reduce vehicle emissions of CO2 by 1.8 billion metric tons from the years 2027 through 2055. Overall, the projected net benefits of the heavy-duty proposal could reach $320 billion. So folks, that's close to $2 trillion in net benefits and over 10 billion tons of CO2 emissions avoided. This is historic news.
You see their announcement here from the video. The biggest thing that they're saying is they're saying that pretty much, the diesel semi-trucks are hurting and giving asthma to the minority community because that's where, by data, that minority communities live near trucking companies.
In the United States, people of color are almost 4 times more likely than white people to live in a county with 3 failing grades for air quality. An estimated 30 to 45% of people in North American cities live or work near enough to a busy roadway to experience significantly higher levels of pollution. Under-resourced and low-income communities often bear a disproportionate burden of transportation emissions because many major transportation facilities are located in and around their neighborhoods.
For the sake of our children's health and our futures. I grew up in Lima, Peru, which has some of the worst air pollution in Latin America. So I'm no stranger to the harmful health effects of tailpipe pollution. In the US, Black, Asian, Latino, and low-income communities are more likely to live near truck routes and bear a disproportionately heavy burden from the health harms of tailpipe pollution. This is a profound environmental injustice. Many of my fellow ecomadres face these injustices. Let's take Erandi Treviño in Southeast Houston. She and her family face cumulative effects of pollution, from living along the Houston Ship Channel, surrounded by heavy industry, oil refineries, and trucking routes. Or take Mercedes McKinley. Her home in Las Vegas is located so close to a major highway, which is used by both locals and a number of big rigs that move throughout the Southwest. Thank you. As a mother of a toddler, she worries about her daughter's developing lungs. And then there's Ana Rios. who is raising a young family in Albuquerque, less than 1 mile away from an interstate highway, near a railroad, and a few steps from a heavy-duty truck company, where trucks are pulling in and out every hour. Based on where they live, Erandi, Mercedes, and Ana have a shared concern for their family's health, the threat to their lungs, brains, and hearts. We know that cutting air pollution from cars and trucks drastically reduces trips to the emergency room due to asthma attacks.
But the thing that they're not thinking about is if there are no jobs, if truck drivers cannot afford these electric trucks, then where would they live? Because you think about the biggest thing is trucking is a blue collar job, and I'm proud that it is. But it gives people of all walks of life an opportunity to make a living for their family. You have these people talking about how this hurts minority families. Well, you know what hurts minority families? Not having jobs. That hurts minority families. And not to even say that the goods that drivers and truckers bring to all of these cities and states. I mean, this is a major problem. And on Monday, we're going to have someone from OOIDA talk about this. But I just want to give you guys this information so that you guys have it. But yeah, I mean, this is what the EPA is proposing and looking to do. So just giving you guys the update of what's going on in American trucking.
So Basil John with Nexstar. So we want to know, with this announcement that's come through, can you realistically reach this goal in 9 years? It's a very large projection of reaching that 2/3 when it's not even at 10% right now.
I believe we can. And I believe that because we're following the market trends. Listen, over the last 2 years, over $120 billion of private sector investment in electric vehicles and batteries. I believe it because when I look at the projections that many in the automobile industry have made, this is the future. The consumer demand is there, the markets are enabling it, the technologies are enabling it. And I have to say, you know, this isn't something that we just started yesterday. This has been part of President Biden's vision from day one. When you look at the billions of dollars invested in electric vehicle charging infrastructure in this country, over 500 charging stations from the bipartisan infrastructure law. When you look at the CHIPS and Science Act, billions of dollars to invest in manufacturing right here at home. The $7,500 tax credit in the Inflation Reduction Act. We're rowing in the same direction. And so I do believe that we can achieve this goal. But as I said earlier, it won't be achieved unless we work with all of our stakeholders to get there. And that's what we plan to do over the process.
Jennifer Deloe with Bloomberg News. Administrator, I'm wondering how you respond to critics who say the rule doesn't align with the Biden administration's, the heavy-duty rule, doesn't align with the Biden administration's commitment to 100% zero-emission truck sales by 2040.
I think it puts us on the trajectory to meet all of the targets that we've set out. What we have to do and what we have done in this proposal is we've done the modeling. We've looked at the technical feasibility, and we've looked at it in the years that we feel the most confident in, which is through 2032. But we're taking comment through 2035 as well. So listen, I think we're on target. I feel that we're on track. But this proposal and this comment period will help us to ensure that we get there together.
Thanks, Administrator Dave Shepardson from Reuters. Do you think this rule, as Republican critics say, will effectively end the internal combustion engine? I mean, do you see, after 2035, automakers still selling new ICE vehicles, or do you think these rules are so strict that it will effectively push OEMs toward EVs out of the ICE business?
I think that this proposal relies on the tradition, the 40-year tradition that we've always held to set technology-based standards. This creates a conversation for hydrogen fuel cells, electric vehicles. We can look at different variations of new fuel sources that we might have moving forward. I think we're giving the automobile industry options to choose from. And so when we look at this proposal and the opportunities to reach the very ambitious goals that we've set, we're not prescribing any mandates. And we're not driving any particular technology out of business, so to speak. I think we're giving the markets and the automobile industry and the private sector the options to choose on how we best move forward to reach these very, very, very ambitious climate goals that we must reach if we are to protect this planet and to ensure the health and safety of all of our children.
Stetson Miller with Gray Television. Will you be providing any additional incentives to promote the adoption of electric vehicles for consumers with this rule?
I think what we're doing is we're partnering very strategically with all of the incentives that have been placed in 3 pieces of historic legislation led by President Biden, and that's the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. There are tax incentives, there are infrastructure incentives. We're doing a great job, in my opinion, of marrying regulation with historic incentives that have been laid out there. And listen, this is going to be done in concert and in conversations with our environmental justice communities, our environmental communities, our automobile stakeholders, and the labor workforce as well. We're going to try to align all of these forces with markets and technology to achieve these goals. And at the end of this, it will ensure American leadership in the world in terms of leading on technology and transportation and protecting the planet and human health. So this is a great deal for this country.
Thanks, Administrator. Grady Trimble with Fox Business. As I'm sure you know, most EV batteries right now are produced in China. So how do you balance the administration's climate goals while also trying to achieve its goal of reducing reliance on China?
That's a great question, and so we look at it in twofold. We have to walk and chew gum at the same time. This proposal doesn't kick in till model year 2027. So we've got some years to ramp up. We hope that we can take advantage of that runway and follow the investments of historic legislation to bring manufacturing, especially battery manufacturing, back here domestically. It's our goal that we don't overly rely on any countries. It's our goal that we are more competitive and don't rely solely on China for batteries and for solar technology and the like. And in the meanwhile, when you look at the benefits of this proposal from an energy security standpoint, this will reduce our dependency on foreign oil imports about 20 billion barrels of oil. So what we're doing is we're strengthening our energy security, we're reducing our reliance on foreign oil, we're reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and harmful pollution, but we're also encouraging significant opportunities for job growth and manufacturing back here domestically while we win the 21st century with this technology competition.
Folks, that's all the time we have for questions. Please send any follow-ups to press@epa.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.